Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I'm Robbie.
I'm Jason.
And welcome to the table. Excited to be back with everyone. Yeah. Jason, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. We are getting ready for Snowmageddon, you know, for those on the East Coast and even all the way down the South to extend, right? Yeah. There's this crazy winter storm coming through and it's changing every day. So we are, you know, neo kind of basic preppers anyway, you know, so I literally have pretty much everything I need other than some bread, because we're actually out of bread, right? I'm not rushing to bread because it's the thing, bread, milk, and toilet paper is what everybody gets for some unknown reason.
Yeah.
But, so I went to the store today to get some stuff, but we're pretty ready because we just got a restock of firewood a couple weeks ago. So we're ready to go for sure, man. How you doing?
Hey, we are doing good. The projections on, how big this is for those who are not on the East Coast is that Jason is in Virginia, and it is like an 8.5 hour car ride between my house to Jason's house. I know this because I've driven it many a time. And we are on the bottom end of this storm that is coming through. It's not going to be Snowmageddon for us, and it's shifting a little bit. So there's a chance that we're going to get some snow. I think everyone is kind of prepping for on Friday, take your laptops home, take your chargers home. But also, I was thinking about this. I was like, if I can run like a hotspot off of my phone, but my laptop will only run for so long.
Right.
And if we don't have power, I don't really want to charge my work laptop.
Yeah. It's
other devices, right? This
is where me being a prepper is it's a little overboard because I do have 2 generators, but those don't matter. That's extreme level, but I have of these, there's battery banks you can buy. There's a whole many brands. One of the bigger brands is called Jackery. So I have 4 different Jackeries. You've seen me at vending events, right? I have 2 200 watts and 2 300 watts. I also have, 2,000 watt Jackery battery banks and then a 2,000 watt different brand one. So I've got plenty of battery for the house, not to run like a space heater, but to run laptops and TVs. And, because if it gets real icy, power lines can come down and you can be without power for a few days, right? And so So that's what I told Liz, we got plenty of power for our cell phone connections. We have plenty of power for our TV, our laptops. As long as we can still, do a hotspot, to your point, as long as I still have internet, then I'm good for my stuff. So we have, thankfully have a ton of that. And I mean, this is how crazy it is. I even have, solar panels. I have 3 different, I technically have 4 different solar panels for my Jackeries as well. They charge slowly, but they charge. Yeah. So I'm ready for the big stuff, right? I've even figured out, because I have to kind of slowly rotate it because, where my house is, trees are great, but trees start giving you shade. So there's literally almost so much time of the day I can get solar panels. We even had, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about other than Snowmageddon. We're looking at getting solar panels on the roof. But we're in shade so much, the solar panel company said we can put them there, but you won't get your money back for way many more years because it's so expensive for them, and we wouldn't get enough sun hitting our solar panels. I'm like, okay, well, I respect the company for not just, because they could have told me anything, I probably would have believed it, right? So I appreciate them saving me thousands of dollars by not getting solar panels on my roof. So anyway, that has nothing to do with that. Let's get back to talking about games, man. What games have you been playing lately, Robbie?
Dude, what a great question. So I have been playing a few games, but largely it has been a gathering of just holidays and things like that. So my side of the family, we celebrate Christmas on Martin Luther King weekend, just because with everyone having sort of their own family traditions and things, it allows people to travel. So we've done a lot of traveling over the Christmas season, over the break. We had holidays and everything like that. So it's just been wild since the last episode. So the one game that I've played most consistently is That's Not a Hat. That's Not a Hat is a party game for those of you unfamiliar. And let me tell you, one thing about That's Not a Hat that I love is this is a game that whenever I describe it to people, almost always you get this look from the person you're describing it to. And this look just gives you these daggers of, this sounds so foolish. I cannot believe that you think I would enjoy this game. And in That's Not a Hat, everyone has a card in front of them that has a basic object on it that is completely random. We're talking cat to rolling pin for your baking, up to a mitten. There are chopsticks. Like there's just
Paperclip.
there's a bunch of random objects. And at its core, it's a memory game. So I'm going to have an object in front of me. Everyone turns those objects face down. And then I go to pass my card to someone else. And I say, this is a hat. And if they think it's a hat, they say, thank you. And they accept it. And then they pass their card to another person and say, this is a blank. The devious people try to get in here and be like, oh, we're going to lie and you're going to deceive everyone. But the problem is there's just no benefit to that, because if you are found to be lying,
right,
they can just simply say, that's not a hat. And they flip it over. And if it's not a hat, like you said it was, you get the card, and it's the first person to get 3 cards loses. So you want to tell the truth, but there is the funny moment is almost like I said, whenever you describe this to people, they just look at you like you're crazy. Like that does not sound fun. And the first moment where you go to pat, you're like, oh, thank you. And you receive an item, and then you go to pass the card that's in front of you, and you just cannot remember what is in front of you. Instant laughter throughout the room. It's a great time. My nephew is 9 years old. I played with him. So I really do think it engages a large portion of people. I think that Atticus ended up playing with my 7-year-old niece as well. So huge variety. That's Not a Hat is a car. It's a game that it's one of 2 games that I now permanently keep in my truck.
Yeah. It's a great game. Like, we've had great experience. Obviously, we played with you and the guys on the banter once, but we had, I think I didn't even talk about this on the podcast, but a year and a half ago when we went to Bonnie, Elizabeth's youngest sister's birthday up in Canada, that was a game we played that was a hit. But we played it, like, the best way to play it, and you know this, especially with adults, is like at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, where you're all sleepy, you're all kind of out of it, and everybody but Elizabeth and I were drinking, so they also had the alcohol in them, kind of mess with them. So it was an 8-person game of That's Not a Hat, and it was just, some of the
chaos.
Hardest, best laughs we could have, because you're so right, because you're like, you're getting ready to pass, you're like, holy stink, what is that? Because the key is, I don't know if Robbie said it, but you can, once you start passing, you can never look at the card again. So you can't like do a double check on the card that's in front of you to, okay, that's pizza. Okay, remember, once they're all face down, once they go face down, they stay face down until someone calls someone out, and it either gets it right or wrong. And so it's an amazing party game. You got to have people who are okay with being wrong, right? Because you're going to be wrong at some point. And if you're okay with that level of it with the right crew, it's hilarious. I played it with my family, played it with the Elizabeth family, and it's good. It's not a one that I pull out a lot for party games, but with the right crowd, I would definitely pull it out and play it. And because it is some, belly laughs on forgetting what it is and just doing your best. Because I'm a gamer, so I'm trying to do my best to get it right. Like I try not to get lost in the sauce. I follow. Okay, this is fries. Fries are in front of me, and then it's random on the back of the card. You may get past one. The back of the card tells you which way you have to pass, and it's not always passing in a circle. Sometimes it passes back, and so it kind of, you may not, especially if you're a group of 8, it may not come to you for a while, but by the time it comes to you, you're like, what do I have? And you forget what each person has, because you technically just kind of remember what people are to the right or your left, because technically they're going to pass you what they have right now, not what's coming to them. So you got to kind of pay attention to what's coming to them. I mean, there's a lot of, I really want to do well in it and I don't want to lose, but then I don't know. But if you're confident about it, you say, oh yeah, that's definitely a paperclip, and just go. But if you're like, I think this is a paperclip, then, good game. That's a good one to play for sure.
Yeah, John and I at one point were sitting next to each other, and if people say like the wrong thing across the table, you can only call someone out for being wrong if they're passing it to you. Right. And so there was a moment that my cousin passes his girlfriend, he passes her a sock, but he couldn't remember, and he was like, it's a piece of clothing. I think it's a shoe. And so he says shoe and passes it on, and she just goes, oh, thank you. And then passes her next item to Lindsay. And then eventually it comes back around and she passes this shoe to Lindsay, and Lindsay kind of looks at it, and Lindsay is really sharp at this game. She's just really good with memory. And so she looks at it for a second, and me and John are both like, we know it's a sock. Like, it's not a shoe. Here we go. And, Lindsay cannot remember. She knows that it's not a shoe, but she can't remember what it is. But for some reason, she takes it. And I was like, and I could just see her confusion. And I said, Lindsay, or I looked at John and I said, John, you better remember what that was, because if that gets passed to me, I'm calling it, my man. I am calling it. So it was a great time. The other game that I'm going to say that we played lately is we did reindeer games. So my family does a big holiday tradition. So when you include my brothers, their children, my mom and dad, my family of now 3, we had 15 people there for family Christmas morning. Which, Jason, you come from a large family. You've got a family of 5. Like,
yep.
15 is not an insane number, but it's definitely not a small number for a Christmas morning type celebration.
Yep.
And then on reindeer games, we always do it with my mom's side of the family. So when we include my mom's side of the family, even some of my dad's side came down from New York. We had 38 people for reindeer games. Like, had to set up a tent outside. It was wild. But reindeer games, we separate the whole family into 4 different teams. We had penguins, elves, snowmen, and reindeer. So you get put on a team. There's a bracket game where everyone's competing against each other throughout the night. And then we do these like big team games. Some of them are relays. Some are head to head. So I thought what would be a fun little like homage here is in reindeer games. One of the games we did was pretty popular on social media right now, where you lay out like different colors. So you have like a red square, a yellow square, a green square, and a blue square. And you like, someone calls a color and you have to touch one of the colors, but you can't touch the color that's called. So you're like yellow and you just have to touch something that's not yellow. Yeah. And people mess up mentally because like just their hand auto goes to yellow. So that was one of the games we played, but we did Christmas trivia, and half of Christmas trivia was Christmas trivia. And then half of it was, just finishing the lyric. So I found some like fun spots and popular songs like Where Are You Christmas? We did Mistletoe by Justin Bieber because we have a younger audience. And so a lot of little fun. We did from Love Actually, Christmas is in the Air. Christmas is all, I feel it in my fingers. So great time. We learned in that moment that almost none of that side of the family has ever seen the movie Love Actually, because everyone was just like, I don't know. I was like, it's Bill Nye, you guys. Come on. So Christmas trivia. I was going to ask you 2 Christmas trivia questions, Jason, to see if you like, and audience, you feel free to play along here, because these stumped my family incredibly. So there is no shame here in any of it. So the first one is the song 12 Days of Christmas. Obviously, there are 12 days of Christmas. On what day do the 12 days of Christmas begin on a calendar?
On what day do the 12 days of Christmas begin? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Yeah.
If they were the 12 days of whatever, you right, like
I would say the 13th of December.
Yeah, like leaning in.
Logically, the 12th day is the 25th.
Yeah. And so, fun fact, the 12 days of Christmas have to have Christmas. So apparently, they all start, it like is supposed to start on Christmas.
That was going to be my deep cut guess, is because like if it's not logically 12 days out, it's the day of.
Yeah, so, like Christmas celebration for 12 days.
The first day, right, you're basically celebrating for 12 days, right. Okay.
Yeah. Stumped everyone except for my wife, who was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be that one. And we're like, they said, well, of course the librarian got it.
I should have gone with that because I didn't know that answer, but because you set it up in a way that's like it's stuff, I'm like, I almost went with that one. Like I would guess it's that, but not for that logical reason. I'm like, because it makes sense. You're celebrating for 12 days in a row. That's not my logic. It's like, well, it's either 12 days before or the day of. I don't know.
Yeah. 50-50 shot. And then the other one was the first the first artificial Christmas tree. Do you know what it was made out of?
The first artificial Christmas tree. Oh my gosh. No, I would, I'm just going to guess aluminum foil.
Okay. So this is so wild to me because I came up with like a lot of answers for it, and aluminum foil was not on my radar at all. And I will tell you that 1 team submitted the correct answer. 2 teams submitted aluminum foil, and then 1 team submitted wood. I was like okay. Like they just took a tree stump and just carved it into a tree, I guess. That doesn't seem right, but the correct answer was goose feathers.
Goose feathers. Interesting.
So there you go. Yeah, I was just like, this would be a fun.
I never would have guessed
little...
goose feather. I would have guessed a ton of other things before I hit goose feathers. So.
People instantly assumed that team was cheating.
Yeah,
because they were like, "How?"
But sometimes you just know those random odd things, right? Like every once in a while, I'll pop an odd thing. They're like, "Well, how'd you know?" Like, I don't know how I know that. I just know it, right? It's just we all know those little random things that no one would ever logically know, but it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely that. So
yeah, that's the beauty of trivia. I tell people all the time, like we love trivia in our family, and I'm like, you don't know. Everyone just assumes you're bad at trivia because no one wants to look foolish or dumb.
Yeah,
and it's like you just never know how much trivia you actually know until you get asked the question, and then you're like, oh wait, I knew that the whole time. So
very cool.
Jason, what games have you been playing lately, man?
I have played a ton, thankfully. Like, it's for those who've been paying attention, it's been a couple months since we had a podcast. We were trying to do it. Black Friday hit, Christmas hit, life hit. I had oral surgery a couple weeks ago, so I had a tooth removed, and I'm still recovering from that. The stitches get out tomorrow. I'm on a liquid/soft food diet. So, it's an easy way to lose. I'm at 10 pounds in 11 days because I can only eat mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and pudding and so I'm hungry all the time. So anyway, but so a lot of stuff have kept it apart, but now we're back. I played a ton of games because I linked up with Christopher and Mandy in November in Gatlinburg. We played a bunch there, saw them again, saw my family. So it was hard. It was actually hard. I had a long list of games I'd love to talk about, but I'm going to hone in on two of them. One is one I've talked about before on the podcast, but Amanda and Christopher and Elizabeth wanted to play it, so it's been good. But the other one I'm going to jump into first is actually a two-player version of a game we've covered. It's called Flamecraft Duels. Flamecraft Duels, D-U-A-L-S, not duel as a D-U-E-L. A lot of the two-player versions of bigger board games are D-U-E-L-S, like you're dueling each other. Not quite the same here, but similar concept. So it's the same art. Gameplay is similar in that when you think about Flamecraft, you are playing dragons to fire them, which lets you do other stuff. And that, is way more than that, even for a light game. But essentially, you're getting resources to play a dragon. That dragon, you fire that dragon's ability, which lets you do stuff around the board, okay? So in Flamecraft Duels is a two-player game, bag pulling game, which you're pulling out little chips that are the 6 dragons. And when you place those dragons on this board, you still fire those dragons. But what you're trying to do, and this is where it really kind of is a very, very, very basic game, you have these 2 scoring cards that will have like a steel dragon, and a bread dragon. So I'm trying to line up these 3 pieces on the board with a steel dragon, and a bread dragon. And I score, and I get it, and I score it. The actual game itself, insanely basic because you're just trying to match patterns on a card. The fun of the game is you're randomly drawing out the dragon from a bag, and you have this board that has a set number of grid spaces. And one dragon could be, and the abilities are slightly different. Like the bread dragon is I think the bread dragon is take another dragon out of the bag and play it. One dragon is move 2 different dragons 1 spot each. So even though you have this board, you can start stacking up these chips on top of each other of the dragons. So it's kind of a very interesting tactile game, abstract game, because you're putting these pieces on the board to make these patterns. So you it gets a little thinky at times, like, well, if I pull this one, because you're going to pull and you only have a single one, you're thinking, well, if I put it here, I can fire this, but I can then fire that dragon, which lets me move this here, or I can do this, or I can do that. And you only have 2 private scoring cards and 2 goals in any given time in front of you. So the goal is very basic, but the gameplay is super interesting. So, and it comes in a small, almost like a little lunchbox kind of thing. You play on the board, you fold it open, and the board is actually in the game, in the box itself. Now, unfortunately, they had a lot of issues where it's not laying flat, and mine's one of those. Oh, no. So I reached out to them, and they're going to send me a replacement when they have one, because it's not meant to be that way. That's the downside about a cool production, is that it's because it's basically you fold it out, and each half holds the pieces, and you fold it out, and the board is connected to there. So Flamecraft Duels is not actually out yet. I backed it on Kickstarter. Back 2 copies of it. Already sold 1 copy for a little bit of a profit, so that was good because it's still hot right now. But also backed. It came with an expansion for Flamecraft, which looks really cool. I bought me one and Hand and Wheel one. But when it comes out, if the price is right, it's one I would recommend to a lot of people because it's a little bit of thinkiness, but then very basic scoring, so very basic goals. But I think it's going to come out at like a $40 or $50 game because it's already think about the Quedlinburg upgraded pieces. Those pieces, that's basically what you already have in the game. It's already upgraded to these really nice pieces. So Flamecraft Duels is super light. The Dice Tower kind of gave it low scores because it's so basic. But I'm like, that's okay. Cause I think they thought it was going to be something else. They think Flamecraft, like, oh, this is not what I wanted it to be, because it's very basic. So anyway, Flamecraft Duels is one of them. Fun game. I could pull out, play it. It plays super quick. It's like 10 or 15 minutes once it's set up. So the second game, much, much, much heavier game called Zulkan, the Mayan Calendar. Zulkan, the Mayan Calendar, it was when Christopher and Mandy came into town over Christmas, we were like, let's just do greatest hits. So we did Dinosaur Island, we did Agricola, and we did, I forgot the third. We did one other third game that's just like a game we know like the back of our hand. The fourth game was Zulkan, and that was the only new game, so Liz wanted to do that. Zulkan is a worker placement game in that you're going to, on your turn, you're going to place a worker, or you can place as many as you want, but it costs more corn, which is a food resource, to play more workers. Or you're going to pull as many workers as you want off, and where you pull them from, you're going to take the action there. The unique thing with Zulkan, there's 5 gears on the board that all connect. So you're putting a piece, and you're putting a piece, your worker at the start of a gear, and after everybody's done, you turn the gear so they rotate around each section they are on the board to the next spot where the worker placement action would be. And so you're kind of, it's super thinking and trying to plan out what you want to do can be tough, because you're like, I really need corn and bread. But you see, I got to put a piece here to eventually get to the corn and bread, to get to the spot I'm going to spend corn and bread, but also got to get corn and bread. And on your turn, you either have to place or pull. You can't just pass on a turn. So you can't let a worker get stronger, because as you rotate on each of the 5 quadrants of the board, the action spaces get stronger. But you can't just like kind of squat. You can't just kind of sit there and wait. On your turn, you're either pulling workers off or placing workers. So it becomes this interesting mechanism. Well, do I only put out one worker, knowing the next time I'm going to put out another worker, and I'm going to pull the third time, and 4 times in the game, you have to feed your people, so you got to have enough corn for that. There's resources for buying buildings and monuments. Me describing that is an wildly oversimplification of a very thinky game, because when you see it, you just have to kind of plot it out. And as soon as we played it, I'm like, is this thing on BGA? So I've been playing it left and right on BGA. Lost every single game I played on BGA, because I clearly do not have the strategy yet. I haven't come close to winning. Like, one guy had 120 and had 40. I'm like, how does this guy have 120 points? I have 40 points. So anyway, I'm going to figure that out on Zulkan. So I played Zulkan. It's fun. It's one that it'd be fun if you and I get to play one day, but it is
the board is massive.
Yeah. And the gears attached to the board permanently, but it's so unique, and the gameplay is insanely easy. You're either placing a worker, and that's it, or you're pulling a worker and taking the action on that spot. That's it. I mean, that's literally all. So in general, the turns are fast, but you have to kind of think out, okay, if I put this here, it's going to go there, but okay. I do not play it very well. I do not score very well. I played it twice, 2-player, and then we played with Christopher and Mandy, but I'm loving it for sure. So Zulkan, the Mayan Calendar.
Yeah. So here's a question. As someone who obviously plays a lot of games, and I'll toot your horn for the people who aren't going to acknowledge this. Our previous episode was on River Valley Glassworks, and Jason, what height have you climbed to?
I got up to, was the last night or the night before? I got up to second on Monday night, and I actually won one more time, and I was 2 points away, but could not get a game live. I was trying to get a real-time game. Yeah. I've yet to play River Valley Glassworks. So in BGA, when you go choose real-time game option, it'll tell you what your estimated time. No one plays River Valley Glassworks real-time, and so I've never played one. It's like, oh, estimated wait, 20 minutes. Estimated wait, 20 minutes. It wasn't going down. And so I got 2 points away from first in the world. And then by the next morning, I was down to fourth, because people in Europe are winning games. Yeah. And so I got back up to second. I haven't played. I'm behind River Glassworks today. When we get off, I need to play. But yesterday, I got back up to second again after a couple wins. But I haven't quite. I just want to be first for a second. I even took a photo of I took a photo and sent it to you, and I got to second. And then I won another game, but I was only 2 points away. So I have a photo proof that I was second by 2 points in the world on River Valley Glassworks. But I gotta get a bunch. I just gotta basically do a denial of service attack on River Valley Glassworks and just, get as many games going as possible to try to win as many, because, yeah. It was fun. It's exciting. Maybe one day.
Guys, you know that if I ramble too long during the podcast, if you're a visual watcher, you're going to see Jason's eyes kind of avert for a second, and you just know he's taking turns. He's just doing it, dude. He's just getting them games in. But speaking of getting games in, we knew today's game is, I would put it on the lighter side of things, but still really, really fun, and is, I think, our first dabble back into the same universe. Like I know that I don't know that we've talked about something from like the same world ever before. And honestly, there's a third game that we've definitely considered talking about inside this universe as well. So I feel like it will 100% be our first three-peat in terms of coming to this universe, because this game system is just really well done. But today we are talking about the game Stella. So, Jason, do you want to tell us a little bit about Stella?
Yeah, absolutely. So, released in 2021, designed by two French guys. I want to respect their names and not mispronounce them. Gerald and Jean-Louis, but I'm not going to say their last names because they're tough. Published by Libellule, which is a French company, who also publishes Dixit and also publishes Mysterium. 3 to 6 players. Playtime is 30 minutes. In Stella, players look at a shared grid of 15 dreamy, whimsical illustrations, Dixit cards, for those who've played Dixit or heard us talk about Dixit. It's the exact same cards. Each round, it's a 4-round game. Each round, a single word is revealed. Baseball, football, hot dog, rainbow, whatever. Old. What was the one we had anyway? Word is revealed, and everyone secretly marks the cards they think match it. So you have a player board in front of you that has 15 spots, and you privately mark the spot, that card on your board that you think matches that word. If it says whimsical and you think that card, that art on that thing is whimsical, you match that. Then, one by one, players reveal their picks, scoring points if others choose the same card. If exactly 2 people choose the same card, they get 3 points. If more than 2 people do the card, they get 1 point. Scoring point. But if you name a card no one else has picked, if it comes around to you and you're like, oh, it's this card right here and no one else does it, you're done for that round, even though everybody else continues to go around and score. You're off the rest round. After 4 rounds, whoever has the most points wins. That's a high-level simplification, and we'll talk a little bit deeper, but that pretty much is the game right there. Cards are out there with art. You're trying to match, in your mind, what you define that word, if that card matches that word. You see who else did it, and you want to have many people who do it, and then you score based on how many people had the same ones.
Yeah. What I really love, I'll dive into what I think a feature that they do really well, that I'm just now, like, as we're processing the game, connecting this singular thread actually carries through every single one of their games. So really excited to talk about that feature. Let's talk setup and teach. So the setup for this is incredibly simple. It is, everyone's going to get like past a colored board that's going to mimic the setup of the cards. There's a deck of cards, and you lay out 15 cards in this grid type format. Setup goes super quick. I would say actual setup, you could probably do this setup in less than 60 seconds. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. And honestly, you could be beginning the teach while you set it up because the board is so straightforward. Now, in terms of the teach, this is one of those games that I feel like having a practice round is actually really, really beneficial. So being prepped to maybe set the board up for 15 cards, knowing that you're going to wipe all 15 of these cards and just start over. There are some games where you can sort of do a faux practice turn or two, but this one, I think if you just end up playing a legitimate practice round, you might end up actually saving a ton of time answering questions down the road while you play the game. But I've never taught this game. I've seen Jason teach it multiple times at this point. So I want to defer to you, Jason, in terms of how do you feel about practice round, teaching this? Thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I think I've done a practice round a couple times because it's easy. Because, like I said, this is a game I would absolutely teach while I'm setting it up. Because, like, you know, shuffling the cards takes more time than anything else. Because if you want to have a good, fresh shuffle of the cards from the previous game, but if you haven't played in a couple weeks, it doesn't matter, right? So you wouldn't even know because it doesn't matter what order the cards come out. But doing a practice round is spot on. That way you get a feel for it, because it doesn't quite make sense. Because the scoring is, I said it before, but the scoring is very, very easy. There's 15 cards, and if on your turn you point at a card, okay, this card matches, freedom, and Robbie says, oh yeah, I have that one as well, and Elizabeth says, I have that one as well. Okay, good. On your board, in your spot, you mark how many stars you would got from that. So you get 1 star, basically 1 point. And then, but if only me and Robbie chose that card, we get 3 points. So we mark that in there, so then we know we got those 3 points. But if no one else did, then I'm like, well, okay, I'm done for the round, even though the round continues to go. And my cards that I marked for mine still count for other people. So even though I won't score anymore, if later on in a round someone says, oh, this card matches freedom and it matches one of mine, I have to point that out to help them score. So that part of the scoring is very easy. What is kind of funky is that, so what'll happen is at the end of after we've all gone through, okay, the word's freedom, we've looked at it, we marked everybody good, okay, all right, Jason, how many cards did you say match freedom? Whatever that is. And there's a track over to the left side of the board that goes like 1 to 10, or it may go as high as 12 or something. And you're like, okay, I did 7, and then Robbie did 8, and then Elizabeth did 12. So whoever's the highest, if they ever point to a card that no one else agrees to, their entire scores are all halved. Or they lose 1 point for every single score. So it's actually 2 points. Yeah. So if more than one person, if exactly 2 people have the same card, it's 3 points. If more than 2 people have the same card, it's 2 points. But if you chose the most cards that you say matches the word freedom, and at any point you choose a card no one else has, all of your scoring is subtracted by 1 point. It basically keeps you from just marking everything down and get everything out there. It makes you put a little bit more strategy on there. It doesn't, even when I say that, it doesn't quite make a lot of sense till you do it. But once you do it, now it makes sense on that, because it's it's trying to keep people from just guessing a whole bunch of stuff, so they get punished for losing points for going that high. So now if more than one person has the exact same number of high guesses, then no one gets punished on that. So it's a little nice on that, but it's trying to keep someone from just throwing a bunch out there. That's the hardest one that doesn't quite make sense. And even when you start doing it, you got to kind of remember that if you have the most. But beyond that, it's pretty easy. Practice round, explaining the scoring, all that, straight and forward.
Yeah. And in terms of theme, what Jason wrote in the show notes is so true, which is...
Yeah, I want to read. I want to read this. So here's what, like on the front of the rule back, a lot of rule books have, like, they kind of do flavor text and talk about what the theme is. Okay, hear this out. So the game is called Stella, Dixit Universe. The competition is in full swing among star seekers. They ride the skies, hoping to bring back some light into their world. Go and gather the light of the stars, create some sparks with the other players, but don't leave your group too far behind. If you're too greedy, you will end up alone in the dark. I mean, God bless them. I appreciate the fact they're trying to do some sort of theme, but it's themeless. As beautiful as it is, and as amazing as it is themeless.
Yeah. And honestly, I get why they say, right, the gathering of the stars, because every time that you and another player agree on something, you get stars. Yep. That's the points, are stars. But I think that the game not having an actual theme is what makes it so cool. Yeah. Because now we don't have a thread tying all of the art of the cards together. Yeah. If it was nautical, then there would only be so much imagination you could have inside. If everything had to fit in the sea or be connected to water, there's only so many cards available. But because it doesn't have a theme, you can have all of those nautical cards. You can have a bunch of space cards. You can have a bunch of, like, bird flying through the air cards. All of this becomes available because, and you can have Viking cards. You can have Japanese cards. Like, all of it's on the table.
Yep. I mean, think about when we played Disney Dixit, we were worried that we would fall into Disney tropes, and you don't. Like, the art's amazing. You can do some Disney tropes, but you don't have to. And I was thinking about this when I was thinking about the game the other day. I'm like, the next time I play Stella Dixit, I may play Stella Disney and just pull out the Disney cards, or just mix the Disney cards in there. Yeah. Because you're spot on. Not having a theme gives you the freedom for it to be whatever, and don't feel pulled into that. And Disney Dixit was perfect example of that. Like, we weren't pulled into it having to be Disney clues for it. It was just Disney art that helped us do the game.
Yeah. So I love the lack of theme, because like I said, I think it really does encapsulate, like it allows so much freedom, which every time you play something from the Dixit universe, you're just going to walk away hearing the phrase, especially if I'm at the table with you, man, there are so many cards here that I would love to just have as full art in our house. It's just so pretty. In terms of game length, I agree with the show notes here. I think that the game length advertised on the box is pretty spot on. If you have people at your table that suffer from analysis paralysis, this game could get a little lengthy at the start, but I think you just have to kind of emphasize to people that this is, I would put it, a step between party game and strategy game.
Yep.
Like, because of the scoring system existing the way that it does, I think it takes a little more thinking time than perhaps a Dixit would take, but you're still not even remotely close to the world of so many, even games that we've talked about, like Flamecraft. When you get near the end of your turns in Flamecraft, there's no singular moment, I feel like, in Stella that in terms of cognitive load matches me to the final few rounds of a Flamecraft.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Totally. I agree. Like, and your analysis is spot on, because this is listed, I mean, it has to be categorized as something on Board Game Geek. It's listed as a party game, but it's definitely above a party game. This is not a That's Not a Hat. This is not a Just One. This is that. This is not any of them of those party games that are great party games. But this is definitely above that, but it's also not a heavy thinkery game. If you're thinking too hard, you're losing the gist of the game, and you won't have. I think you may risk having less fun if you're overthinking every single picture. Whereas I'm kind of enjoying it. Like, I'm very much we have this with Dixit and with Stella, very much a feeling. Sometimes I get really tactical with, if I don't have a feel, like I go, oh, that card just kind of feels like freedom. That kind of card feels like birthday. It kind of feels like whatever. And sometimes I'm, well, okay, I don't feel any of these cards. So, okay, now I got to start looking to see, okay, there's that barbed wire. So could it be chicken be the word? And there's some random barbed wire stuck behind this guy floating through the clouds in a river. Well, I mean, it could, because barbed wire holds chicken is in. So maybe I get real tactical. So maybe that's not a good way, but it's overthinking it and overanalyzing it is not going to help anything for those 15 cards, because it needs to be kind of how you feel and what you see right away, as opposed to a game will eventually cover, Mysterium. You got to kind of look deep on some of those cards. It's a different kind of tactical nature and strategic nature with Mysterium, but similar cards. So I agree. Like, it's quick and fun. It's easy to play. People with AP will slow it down, but not as drastic as other games. And then once you're done, it's quick. It's easy to set up, because all you do is wipe your dry erase board, you score it, shuffle the cards, and put cards back out. And then you have, we'll talk about replayability a little bit, but like, you only go through technically 4 cards in the entire game, 4 clue cards in the entire game. And this is the deck of clue cards that have 2 words on there. It's like softness and monstrous are 2 of the words, right? There's too much around there. Keeper and farce. So those are just some of the words. So it's so easy. And so, the variety of gameplay is great, but it's quick. Get done. Oh, let's shuffle, play again. Quick done, shuffle, play again.
Statistically, you'll never have the same game, because you have to match. The 15 cards are changing all the time. So it also has a deck of equal, honestly, larger size compared to the cards that Jason just showed for the words. So you're never going to have the same 15 cards that also are drawn with the same descriptor word. So you're going to have to, even if, man, someone like everyone got to 12 on Fierce the time we played it, you could literally shuffle the cards up and deal them out again and go Fierce again. Yeah. And people would struggle, like Jason said. You're looking for barbed wire to try to find something, because it just doesn't necessarily match on that. So I think that the replayability is really high. And I would tell someone struggling with AP, we're going to play a game. Like, most times when people struggle with AP, if you're a gamer, you can identify it really fast. I would just encourage people, like, hey, we're going to play a light game, super fun. And the goal of the game is to play the game. Yeah. Like, winning, sure, it matters to some people a lot, but let's just play the game. And you know what? If people really love it and we play quick, we'll just play again. Yep. Because if no one sits there and overanalyzes it, you could move through it much faster than advertised. Yep. So in terms of strategy, I want to give you a second to talk about strategy, Jason, because I've got this thread idea that I think, like, I'm excited to share.
For me, it's interesting, because you can have different level strategies. Kind of touched on them a little bit. You go really tactical, trying to find specific things that call out. Sometimes you do, based on what the word is. But farce, farce is, I mean, first, what is farce? What is vintage? What is ancient? What does it mean to you? What does monstrous mean to you? So you kind of think about what it means to you, but you also are kind of playing the other players on the table, what you think they think it would be, because you need to have multiple people, ideally only one, but you need at least one to score. So you're kind of thinking what the other people in the other players in the game, what they may mark as well. And something that's, you may think, oh, that's clearly something because I know that's what it is for me, but if it's very abstract to you, it may be abstract to someone else what that is. So my strategy is to try to play what I think the other people will think, but being able to justify in why they would think those things. I mean, maybe that's a little more overthinking than what it should be, but I play quick, so my mind works fast at that. So my strategy, really basic, is okay, not just specifically what I think. Okay, I very quickly, okay, that's obvious. Okay, then I'm like, okay, now I go through the quick obvious ones. If it says, ancient, if there's some two old dudes, okay, those are two old dudes, they're ancient. If there's some Roman Colosseum, okay, maybe that's ancient. But then what else is ancient? Is a mountain ancient? I wouldn't necessarily think of a mountain as ancient, but that mountain in that back of that card is ancient. So is that the next level I'm thinking about? So that's kind of my very basic rough strategy.
Yeah, because one of the things that we mentioned in how the game functions is that everyone goes around the table, starting with I believe you start with the person who named the most or like picked the most, or does the starting player rotate?
I don't even know. That's a good question. It may rotate.
So someone's going to start, and when you pick, as soon as you pick one that no one else is on, you're done. So let's say that I picked 9, person who picked the most picked 10, and everyone else picked 6. I want to stay alive as long as possible, because even if 2 people put 6, they may not have picked the same 6. So there is this like variance of even who picked what, even when they're on the same number. So the longer you stay alive, the higher chance I have of picking cards that other people may have. So that is, so you want to start with your obvious ones.
Right,
so if I'm looking at, okay, there's 2 old people, I'm going to go ahead and start with that card for ancient, or the Roman Colosseum. I'm going to start with that for ancient, right? Because I think everyone's going to put that. Even the old people could be a little more sketchy because maybe not everyone thought they were ancient, right? And then once it goes around the circle and I'm still alive, now all of my very obvious ones are taken or been claimed and pointed out, whatever words you want to use to describe it. So now I'm going to shift to, okay, in my tier 2s, what are the ones? So even the order of which you pick, which one you're going to say, hey, we're going to choose that card, matters in terms of scoring the points, because you don't want to just start like upper left on the grid and just walk across every time, because that may not be the order that best fits the word. So I think that is another fun side of it. Is this has happened every game of Stella I've ever seen. You have one that you're like, this is obvious. Like everyone's going to have this. Okay, so I'm super safe to go ahead and start here. And someone points one out, and it's their first card they're pointing out, and they say a phrase just like that. Okay, so everyone obviously had to have this one. It's this guy. And then you look around the room, and everyone looks at you as if you have just spoken in Swahili, and none of them have ever thought about that language.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no, I definitely don't have that.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Huh? And now you're out. So all you can do is just hand everyone else points because they marked other cards that you marked. So I think that side of Stella is painful to be on the bad side of it, but hilarious. And I think it is one of the fun factors in terms of the game play.
Yeah. For sure. No, I agree. And I didn't even think about that, but you're right. I definitely have that strategy, but then I'm like, well, that's clear to your point. It was clear the obvious. And if I'm not the starting player, I'm 4th or 5th, I get nervous because I already got that. Well, crud. Now, the further along you go, you're like, okay, is mine going to be there or not? And then it gets really tough because well, those are kind of hard. So which one do I do when they've gone down that line of thinking? So no, it's fun. That anticipation is definitely fun. And then it can have good, fun arguments on like, that's clearly ancient. No, it's not. What do you mean that's ancient? That's not ancient at all. Whatever. That's not an antique at all. it goes back to what we think our definition of those words are. Antiquity is our word when we play with Brody. So,
all right.
Anyway, yeah, it's yeah.
And I think what's fun about that too is that in Stella, there's always like you're almost always involved.
Yep.
Throughout the round, because you're looking for, as long as you have cards, even if you're out, as long as you have cards that you still picked, you're doing something throughout each person's turn, which is really cool. So here's this thread, Jason, that I'm realizing connecting. In these games, they're very abstract clue cards. There's probably some formal name for them, but clue cards is essentially what they are.
Right.
In Dixit, you are storytellers. Right. And so you're putting these clue cards out to represent a story, and the goal is for other people to recognize the story, but you don't want everyone to recognize the story you were trying to tell.
Right.
In Stella, you see the story, the clue cards in front of you, and you want to be on the same brainwave as other people, but you don't want to be on the same brainwave as everyone. In Mysterium, you're going to put these clue cards out, and you need to be on the same brainwave as one person for this specific card, but you don't need everyone to be on that brainwave. And I think that is like a really cool feature that they somehow found a way to spin for all three, that when it comes to this clue card, the goal of every single Dixit Universe game is at its highest level, I want to be on the same brainwave with this specific clue card as only one other person in every single game. Because in Dixit, if that's the case, I get 3 points for being correct. You get 3 points for being correct. No one else gets those points. That's awesome. If a bunch of people get it, then me getting the 3 points doesn't really do... It's good, but it's not as good.
Right.
In Stella, I get rewarded if only me and one other person are on the same one. And in Mysterium, which we'll talk about in the future, I get rewarded if, man, they're on the same brainwave with this. We lock in. Boom, they get to move on to the next level. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
How it connects all three games.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they ever release another one just to see what they would do next in that world. So... Yeah. I'd never thought about that for sure. I don't have that deep level thinking, so you're educating me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, but like it's crazy because it is the same mechanic across all of them, but it really is spun so differently. And it wasn't until describing the points of, okay, you want to be in Stella on, you want only one other person to have picked that card, because then you get 3 points instead of the 2 points. And I feel like every time that you have a winner in Stella, that's usually how it ends up happening, is that one person is going for a few more cards, but they're nabbing one or two each round of like, oh, it's just me and you? Awesome. Bag.
Yep. For sure.
I think another part of the strategy that's worth mentioning, and once again, Jason, you have a lot more games on Stella than I do, is the fear for newer players of that punishment for picking too many.
Yeah, because you may not want, once you realize you could lose points, then you can always shoot the moon, for lack of a better term, not very high, but relatively shoot the moon and go high, and then realize you're going to lose points. Or that is true because you're fearful, I don't want to lose any points, but then you have some people who don't care at all, and they shoot it every time and then lose points every time. So I've seen them do that as well. Like, they had no fear at all, and that was okay, and they didn't win the game, but they had a lot of guesses. So there's that level. I mean, that's definitely a level of strategy that can come into effect. How many do I want to have? Do I want to be one more and maybe snipe a couple of perfect threes? Am I okay sitting in the middle and just getting a bunch? Where do I go from there? And then kind of play it out. And you play it once. Okay, maybe next time I'll go a little bit higher on that and try to get a little bit more. I don't know. I go back and forth. I think when we played it, when you were here for in the summer, I was very conservative. I wasn't going very high, but I've definitely played games where I went higher to see what I could do.
Yeah. The first time we ever played Stella, I remember one of our players, the first round, she was like 3 or 4 guesses higher than everyone else. And we were like, okay, get it. And it did not go well that round. Yeah. And so then the next round, she pivoted, and she was like too short of everyone else. Yeah. And we were like, okay. And I felt like she ping-ponged up in like, or yo-yoed back and forth between them. Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting side of it as well, is I don't think she was intentionally trying to go like so heavy either direction, but because that mechanic exists of you ultimately, it's how risky do you want to be? Because you can be rewarded for being the highest, like, number one, just because, like, let's say I picked 10 and the next closest was 8. Those 8 were not maybe all on the same 8. So even if I'm going past them,
right,
I just need one other person to have picked this, which is really, really cool. So you're not always punished, but you're most often punished for being the highest if you're still alive at the end of it all. So I think it's a really, really fun mechanic inside of it.
Right. Well, and if you play it enough, then you can try all those things and see what works best. See what works. Do you like going high with the risk? Do you like going low and trying to be conservative? Do you like trying to be in the middle and to see what you enjoy doing?
Yeah. So in terms of production, it's in the same Dixit universe. This thing's beautiful. The cards are awesome. The cards are amazing. And the board, as we talked about in the setup, is super straightforward. There's little dry erase boards that you have that are colored that you're filling in and marking. I would say if there's anything that probably you see this game struggle with over time, is just the value of anything that has a dry erase marker.
Right.
Probably eventually you're going to have to replace the dry erase markers.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like that is, I think most gamers you'll find have a host of accessories in their game room, and dry erase markers certainly are one that lots of folks just have extras of.
Yeah, for sure. You're spot on. It's the amazing arts, which, like I said, I'd love to just have a few up in my game room right now. The boards are all good quality. Dry erase is going to eventually wear out. It is what it is. Especially if you played a lot, but it's a good problem to have because you're playing the game a ton. So, and it's not super expensive right now. It's $28.99 on Amazon, which I think is in the world we live in of games and the production of this and the art and the really good quality board, because each of you has your own dry erase board that you're marking on. The scoreboard is a dry erase board. The amount of cards you get, the amount of the production that's in there, $28.99 is a great deal. Is a great deal for sure for a game that can get replayed a ton, pulled out, set up real quick and easy, play it. First game of a game night. We're going to do, even before you and I decide on this, we have a new kind of game. We just started this past week with Dakota, Marissa, and Elizabeth's friend, Ananda and Hunter, who've come over a few times. We have like a 6-person game night we've done once. We're going to do, ironically, the next game night, we're going to do Stella and Mysterium.
I love it.
So because Ananda and Hunter have Mysterium, they've never played it. We're like, okay, we'll definitely play it, but it's better with more people, so it'll be good because I'll be the ghost. But it's quick and easy to play. It sets up fast, quick to teach, and we'll probably play it 2 to 3 times, depending on how the feel of the group is. If they want to play it again, let's play it again. They want to play it again, let's play it again. Definitely easy, fun to play.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's a nice Dixit universe evening.
Yep.
So heading into cookie scale, Jason, do you want to start us for cookie scale?
I'll go first. Mine's for me, it was pretty easy. Like, okay, I should have, full disclosure, if I was smart, I would have gone back to see what I rated Dixit, because I don't know what I rated Dixit. So that's a bad on me. For our next time, I'll make sure I know ratings once we start kind of doing sequel-ish, same universe type games. So I don't know what I rated Dixit. I would rate this higher than Dixit for sure. But it's not, it's a chocolate chip. It's definitely not a double doozy. It's not a knock on it, but I really like Dixit. I don't pull it out a ton. When I play it, I just have fun with it because there's laughs. I love looking at the art. I love trying to do those things. Dixit is not one I'd pull out over it, but I still will pull out Dixit as a different game to play as well because it's fun and easy to teach people. We talked about in a previous time we talked about it. But for me, Stella, once I played Stella, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the better game for me. That's not a knock against Dixit. It's just Dixit 2.0. A better version of Dixit to me. Different game, similar but different, but enough that I like it more. Chocolate chip for me.
Dude, I love it. Let me tell you, one of the best parts about the fact that I help with the production of this is that I put chapters in our YouTube videos, and so you can go back and check really fast. So I just went on YouTube real fast. And I looked up Bards of the Board Dixit. and I went straight to the cookie scale, and the visual's on screen. So I just went to the near the end, and I was like, I know that both will be up there.
Yeah.
So Dixit, you gave a sugar cookie to.
Okay.
So you did indeed give it a much higher rating, so I'm with you. So I gave Dixit a chocolate chip, and I would give Stella a chocolate chip as well.
Yeah.
I think that both. I really don't have a preference on one or the other. I think for a while after my initial play of Stella, I remember saying that I would definitely prefer Dixit over Stella. But now having played Stella a few times, I can see the appeal to both. I think depending on the room I'm with, if I'm with more beginner gamers, I probably am still sticking with Dixit.
Yeah.
But if I would say if even a majority of the players have some background in games, I'm probably going to go with Stella because I think more people will enjoy Stella. I think that aspect of the gamble / voting really matters.
Yeah.
Another thing is that if you're playing with a lot of gamers, we didn't talk about it in Dixit, but Dixit has a very easy way for gamers to break it, which is if you're in the lead, you just simply pick like an inside joke with whoever's in last place.
Yeah.
And you pick a card from your hand that plays to that inside joke, and they're going to know the inside joke. So that's how you cap like that thread of just the one person.
Yeah.
Which is like it's not a crummy way to play. It's completely valid inside the strategy of the game. So like that's great. But when you know that strategy exists, it's very Australia basic risk strat type deal where it's like, yeah, it's just really hard to overcome that. Yeah. So I like Stella having not.
Yeah, for sure. That there's limited insider baseball to help you pair up with people for sure. That's definitely one of the reasons for Dixit that falls beneath me and falls beneath Stella. But the other thing too, and I've had a couple plays where if people, now this is talking about Dixit again, if they don't give good clues, Dixit is tough. That's still a great game. I could argue you can own both those games. Either one of these games is a must-have for collection, depending on what you want. But Dixit, I would say you actually buy it before Stella, honestly, even though I rank Stella higher. But if you have, I've had a couple instances where I had people who just weren't good clue givers, so it kind of is not good. Or they sit there and like, okay, all right, we're losing the fun of it being a party game, So but that's a me thing, and that's a specific instance thing more than the game itself. Like I just said, if you're starting a collection, I'd be like, buy Dixit. Even though I like Stella more because Dixit is an essential. One of the two of these games to me is an essential game to have in a game collection, without doubt. And Dixit's probably the more essential game to have in your collection.
Yeah, but I love it. I still think it is. I think it's a great game. And once again, even as a guy who I got introduced to Dixit very early on in my gaming career, and I got introduced to Stella years and years into it. And I still think Stella is great. I would definitely put it as a chocolate chip. I think that it's hard to put a game of this complexity as a double doozy because it just doesn't always scratch that itch.
Right.
But I would say if you're a young family and you have gamers that you're raising, I could see a world that this is the game that we played as a family learning board games, and that nostalgia will be there. So I wouldn't be shocked if you're listening to this and you have young gamers in the house. This became your double doozy. This became very Ticket to Ride-esque for you.
Right.
Like there's just so much memory locked into it. So, yeah. Jason, any final thoughts?
No, man. It's good to be back for sure. Good to be back. Sorry that it took us so long to get back, but now we'll get back on a good rotation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to being back and being at it. I will say our next episode, I don't want to spoil the game because we got to keep you interested. Got to keep some hooks out in the water. But it will 100% be the crunchiest game we have talked about on the podcast by far. I don't think that's an undersell.
No, because Wingspan was probably the most so far. Terraforming Mars is up there, but Terraforming Mars is still it's a very basic gameplay, whereas this game has more things you can do, so that makes it more crunchy in my mind.
Yeah.
So
it's a worker
Terraforming Mars is a card playing game. That's really Terraforming Mars. At its heart is playing cards and trying to terraform Mars.
As long as you remember Terraforming.
Yeah, as long as you remember to actually terraform Mars. But at its heart, Terraforming Mars, but there's just so many cards to do so many things, whereas this game, there's a lot of things, and there's cards, and there's, right? So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It just kind of has everything. I think that's the beauty of this one, is that it really does have, it has everything, but you you don't have to do everything like Agricola.
Right.
But you do kind of have to dabble in a lot of stuff. And fun fact, I learned, why I'm even more excited about this, Jason, and I'll kind of tease this as we go on, is that my Lorcana coach, I learned, used to play competitive tournaments for the game we're going to talk about.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Which is
that's cool.
Crazy. So, yeah. But that's going to wrap it up. So, guys, we are so grateful to be back. Thank you for sticking with us. And Bards back better than ever. And we will see you guys in episode 53.
See ya.